I want to talk a few minutes about my testimony and the power of prayer. 2 years ago in December, I had a heart attack, and I had some chest pains and got sick and ended up in urgent care. And they said I was having a heart attack, so they called an ambulance. And it seemed like I was getting weaker pretty quick. The pain was a little worse, and they seemed like they really wanted to rush me to the hospital. So they called an ambulance, and I was good with all of it, even though I knew what was going on. So they give me an ambulance, and they get on the highway taking me to King's Daughters, which I have to King's Daughters Urgent Care and King's Daughters Hospital. The doctors, the nurses, everybody was just super. Uh, I was in the ambulance, and I was laying there, and I just kept feeling worse. I mean, I was going downhill pretty quick, I felt. And I was laying there, and I thought, I might not make this, uh, because it just felt like life was draining out of me. And when I thought that, Satan kind of pays me a little visit in that ambulance. And my thought process was just horrible, because I thought, what have I done that the Lord didn't want me to do? And what did the Lord tell me to do that I didn't do? Now I thought about Linda and Mary, and I thought, man, if something happens to me, what are they going to do? You know, they need me. I need to help. And then I thought, I should have left them better off. I should have got everything fixed up. I should have made better preparations for them in case something does happen to me. And my thought process continues to go downhill. And then they had told me when, I was going to urgent care, Linda and Mary, my stepdaughter Jennifer, they posted on Facebook that I was having chest pains and requested prayer. And they said during this process, they said, man, you wouldn't believe the response. There's a lot of people praying. And that was good. It's very flattering, and I appreciate it because, we all need the prayer at this time. So as I was thinking, and I thought, the things that I just was too lazy to do that I should have done. And then I thought, I need to pray myself, but I couldn't. I didn't know what to ask for. And then I thought, well, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to stand before God. I'm surely not worthy to go to heaven and spend eternity with Him. I'm just not worthy. Well, with all those trains of thoughts, that I wasn't worthy to pray. And I thought it wouldn't hurt to pray for myself or pray for anybody. And I thought, no, I'm not worthy of this. And listen, when Satan attacks us all the time, whether we're weak or strong. But when you get weak and he starts getting these thoughts into your mind, he can really work them. And you really don't have no defense against them. And at that time, when I thought, well, I'm not even worthy to pray, that I just felt alone. And it's so hard to describe, but I felt like, even though I knew there was people praying, and I knew that I was in the prayers, I knew I wasn't alone, but I felt so alone. And I think a big part of that was because I couldn't pray myself. I couldn't get in contact with God because I wasn't worthy. And so now I was just laying there, just like with a blank mind, and it was scary. And I was getting some fear now that I didn't have before because of that loneliness. And then so I just I don't think I give up, but I kind of did in a way. So I just kind of lay in there. And then all of a sudden, I just felt like that Satan was in the ambulance with me. I mean, physically there with me because I couldn't have anything good. And then all of a sudden, I thought, God doesn't need me here to take care of my family. He doesn't. thought, He's going to take care of them whether I'm here or not. It doesn't matter. I thought, God does everything for the good, not for evil, not for bad, but for good. And He's got a plan. And then I thought, and what really brought me around, I thought, of course I'm not worthy to stand before God. Of course not. Of course I'm not worthy to be in heaven for eternity with Him. I'm not worthy. If there was a chance that I could have been worthy, then Jesus wouldn't have had to come and die and shed His blood and raised up again and prepared a place in heaven for those who follow Him to spend eternity with Him. Of course I'm not worthy. And then things really, really started to change. And then I thought, I thought of the verse, Paul, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. I didn't want to go anyplace. I wanted to stay here. But at that time, I knew that no matter what happened, everything's going to be okay. It's like that Satan was sitting on that stretcher beside me, and then Jesus comes in that ambulance, grabs hold of Satan, throws him out the ambulance, and rolls him in a ditch someplace. And Jesus sat down beside me, took my hand, and then where I felt so lonely, like I can't even describe, that feeling was gone. And all the concerns and worries and burdens that you have in everyday life, them was even gone. I just knew that it didn't matter what happened with this heart attack. It didn't matter at all. My mental, my spiritual state was in a lot worse shape than my body was. But now, my body, I still kept feeling weaker. I still kept feeling worse. I still didn't know what was going to happen. But none of that mattered anymore, you see, because I knew it was going to be all right because Jesus was there. I couldn't see Him, but even more important than that, I could feel His presence. I could almost feel the touch of His hand. And so they got me to the hospital, and all the stuff that they was doing, nothing bothered me. They kept saying, you're going to be all right, you're going to be okay. They were sticking IVs in me, and whatever they was doing, nothing bothered me because I knew that everything was fine, just like it's always been fine. God has always taken care of us and will continue no matter what the circumstance is. So anyways, turned out the heart attack was pretty bad. I had no blood to the back of my heart. My temperature had fell so low they couldn't get a reading on it. And I think my blood pressure was about ready to bottom out. But when I woke up, from them they put 2 stents in, and they asked me, right when I woke up, the nurse said, do you have any chest pain? I said, oh, it feels a lot better than what it did. And then, because I just woke up and I thought, and I said, you know what? My chest, I said, I don't have any pain. No pain at all. And she said, well, while we was trying to get those stents in, we had to shock you twice. And then the doctor said most people don't survive a heart attack like that. Well, 4 days later, it was on New Year's Day, and I come home from the hospital feeling fine. My thing is that when we get weak and lonely, and we get down to the point that we feel so alone, and Satan has got a hold of us, I couldn't beat Satan. I couldn't. But Jesus can. And it took for me to get clear down to as low as I could go, mentally, spiritually, physically. And Jesus stepped in. He not only healed my spirit, he not only healed my mind, but He also healed my body. And I went through that whole procedure without not one little concern, worry, or burden about it. The power of prayer. Don't ever underestimate it. And, we pray a lot and say, well, God didn't answer that prayer. Sure He did. And when people talk to me about that, they say, I prayed and prayed and prayed, but the circumstance, it still happened. And I said, but if you wouldn't have prayed, it'd have been a lot worse. But God making me feel so strong, no matter what my body was doing, but that peace and contentment, I wish that I could share that because I've never felt anything like it at all. But when we get down, when we have problems, just wait on the Lord because He'll get there to you and you'll come out stronger than when you went in. Bless you all.